Well, namaskar, hello, and good evening. We are again here with the wonderful topic. Uh, we always talk about different things. We talk about business, we talk about politics, we talk about other things. But today we are here with a topic which is going to bring the best out of ourselves. Because the topic we are talking about is uh, all about our inner strength. And the topic we have actually given it's a name that taming the dragon within. So
Mm.
we are enormous being, I would say. If you talk about the strength, so it's not visible actually. It cannot be touched, but we have got enormous power in ourselves. If we've got different types of emotions, like we've got greed is there, jealousy is there, and we've got many negative thoughts and emotions. But if a person is conscious and they're aware of those emotions, and they know how to put them to their account, I think these emotions can be turned into their strengths. And this is something we're going to talk about. As we know that our ancestors, they were always living with a kind of fever, kind of fear. Like they were in fear because they did not have the kind of houses we have, so they were always in fear of being attacked by the animals and being killed by somebody else. So they had their own kind of coping mechanism, right? So they would always be quite afraid of being killed. So we have also got these kind of primal fears. um, at times, what happens, um, these fears can sometimes overpower us, and if we are not able to check these kind of negative emotions, then they can be very destructive. But on the contrary, if we know them very well, and we are quite aware of them, and we if we can take action and we can turn them to our account, I think these negative emotions are going to become very useful, and they can make us very successful. Or successful, it means we can behave the way we want, we can do the things the way we want, because we have control over ourselves. So this is something we're going to talk about, right? So the topic is taming the dragon within. And Robin, I think you've got the topic properly, and
Mm.
now you will also be saying something about the topic, and then we'll go deeper into it. Over to you.
Okay. Okay. Good evening to you and all those people who are probably watching this video. Taming the dragon within. Should it be all right if I use the word to control the dragon within?
Yes, so we are
Because
actually taming it in a way. We are taming it.
yes, because if we tame it, then it's okay. But if we control it, then because we have to use this
Yeah.
in both ways.
Hmm.
So let's begin with this very interesting point, which I always find is worthy of sharing with people. When we talk about dragon within, which means often dragon is considered to be something of a negative connotation most of the time, right?
And it is very
But
powerful.
it's very powerful. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we must understand something which is powerful, something which has that much of potential, then it would not be all right always to see it as something very negative, because something which is powerful, and if it comes in our favor, then it could be even more positive. So we have to be very careful about using this very term and using this very essence which is hovering around negativity when it comes to dragon. So therefore I say this dragon is something which is powerful, but at the same time, when this particular dragon goes out of your control, then it is there to demolish you, to destroy you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is in your control, then it is going to make your ways everything possible whatsoever it is. So this is all in our hands, how we're going to treat with it. So one more thing, it's a kind of analogy which I want to make.
Yeah.
Would it be all right if I compare this dragon with mind? I always consider my mind, and the mind of the human is more like a dragon.
Because emotions always take birth in our mind.
Absolutely. And by the way, when we talk about dragon, what that dragon is all about, there is no such specific, picture of dragon. It is just more of an abstract
Yeah, it's
vision,
not
right?
tangible.
Obviously, it is not tangible. It is not perceivable. It is perceivable, but not tangible,
Tangible,
right?
yeah.
But at the same time, then therefore I say we should, or we may compare it with the power of mind. So if there is something which is more powerful within us, it is obviously your mind. It's your brain, right? Everything that is associated with your brain is a result of the way your brain functions, isn't it,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So when your brain functions against your will, then it leads you to face this eternal suffering of your life. But when it comes in your favor, it means it is in well guided form, or it is in controlled, it is in control by you, then it favors you in many ways. So we can certainly say it is that power, it is that potent force. If it goes against our will, then it is going to be a destructive force against us. And if it comes in our favor, then it is going to be a building, uh, you know agent, right? Now the thing that is rests to you, how do you want to actualize it, how do you want to treat it, how do you want to use it, right? So one thing which I have done now, right in the beginning of this discussion, that I have compared dragon with this mind, with this brain, right? Now everything which we now gonna discuss in the advanced part of this video, we'll try to take some examples pertaining to our brain, pertaining to our mind, because everything that comes to us, everything that we face, I don't know people will accept it or not, but most of the intellectual people, most of the philosophers would agree to me that it is your brain capacity, it's your cognizance capacity that either holds you back from doing something, or even it gives you an impetus force to
Yeah.
do something which is not even your cup of tea. So everything lies in the brain, right? That's what David Hawkes said. I mean, there is an athlete, or you can say whatsoever it is. This man is a miracle one. He's he's infused with supernatural powers. He was not at all like a common normal guy like we are, and he went through number of problems, physical problems, mental problems. But the way he rose to that prominence is remarkable. And he says in many of his books, he says that it is just I was able to do anything because my mind helped me to do that. So everything is there in your mind. So therefore, I say dragon within is something which is very powerful. You can never underestimate it. Since it is powerful, therefore it becomes even more urgent for us, mandatory for us to be sensibly dealing with it. Because if it goes against your will, it is going to be a destructive force. Then you can't do anything in that. Or if you really want to achieve something in life, then take the company of this potent force, whatsoever dragon it is, and see those miracle that you touch, those milestones that you create in your life. Over to you.
One more thing I'm reminded of is let the audience know this perfectly well. And we are talking about this dragon is actually the human behavior and the emotions of humans. So we are talking about emotions of human beings because we are emotional beings, and at times we find that emotions are so strong, they power us, and we end up being overwhelmed by them. So, if a person is able to manage, or if a person is able to understand his emotions, then perhaps they can become the best version of themselves. So, first of all, we are going back to our origin. I mean, our evolution, where we were actually the primitive, and so they had one particular coping mechanism, that either flight or
Yeah.
flee, right? So this is something we are going to talk about. We are talking about the unmet needs. We are talking about the fear which we have in ourselves. Sometimes this fear may be of being successful or unsuccessful in future. The fear of failure, actually. People always think that what if they fail in their lives? People always think that what if they fail to reach their highest potential? What if they find so many difficulties in the way, and they don't have the capacity, they don't have the ability to cope up with all those challenges which they might face. So this sometimes what happens, they sometimes start fearing us, and we are then so much afraid of handling these difficulties that we end up losing our self confidence. We end up getting defeated by those challenges. So how we can overwhelm those emotions, we can win over all those emotions
Yep.
which are somehow trying to defeat us or scare us. So this is something we are going to talk about. So Robin, tell me, as we know that how this humankind, or how we human beings evolved over the period of time, and we had different kind of challenges back then. So tell me, this coping mechanism, how can people overcome their fears, the fear of failing, and the fear of, you know, you can say whether a person will be successful or not. So this particular theory we are talking about, fight or flight.
Fight and flight.
Yeah.
Okay. Something could be well understood without even reading a certain part of a book, or without even knowing one's experiences. Because after all, we all are humans. And since we are the part and the parcel of this universe, so people around us are no less than us. Those living entities are almost us, because we all are made up of five elements. So we are the part of this universe. Everything which appears to be here in this case, right, on the universe is there for a reason. That's all we understand, right?
Yes.
Some people are able to find those reasons, some people are not, just because of they are pretty much engrossed in their own ways. This is what we can say. But at the same time, there is a one common thing among all, and this is not just confined to human beings. It goes and extends its boundary to animals and to all possible living beings. And what is this? That is called survival instinct.
Yeah.
Everyone and each one of us is always fearing for their life.
Yes.
However, people don't accept it blatantly, because it sounds sometime someone taking retreat from accepting the bitter fact of the life. But the fact remains is that we all are humans, and we
What
all.
what we do is we adopt that ostrich policy. You must be
Yes.
knowing ostriches.
Yes.
Whenever they see the enemy, they just bury their head into
This
the ground, thinking the enemy is not there. But this doesn't change
but
the
they are always
reality.
there.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So that is what is human instinct, and that is with everyone, right? So there is nothing wrong, there is nothing harm about it, because after all, we are here to perform some bigger task. But for pursuing that task, we need to live at any cost.
Yes.
As long as resources are available in equal amount, that the distribution could be made possibly on the equal grounds, then I don't think survival instinct should even rise to that, to that point. So it should be raised to that point, right? But the problem comes when resources are very limited, competitions are very high, everything is at stake. Then the situation that what we have recently discussed, that is fight and flight kind of situation arises.
Yeah.
And that what happens with many of the people. So who is more powerful, who holds more potential, who holds a bigger position even in the society, wherever it is the one who is going to be there last long, and others are going to be wiped out. And that is what has happened over the period of the time. Number of animal and the species of the animals have completely extinct, right?
Yeah.
And many of them are on the verge of extinction.
Yes.
So this is the reality, and I think people would accept it. Many people accept it, right? But one thing which we are here, one thing for which we are here as a part of the discussion is, since when certain situation arises, such as fight and flight, then how we can cope with that without causing much damage, not just to us, but to our counterparts. Because we humans are infused with this rationality,
Yes.
and that is what makes us different from other animal creatures. Because these animals don't have that, reasoning ability with which they could survive themselves, but as well as they could also be hopeful for others' life. For them, their life is more important than others.
Yes.
It is also with humans too, but we humans are at least relaxed only to that point where everything is doing happily and harmoniously, things are going great. But when their resources are in lack or paucity is arising of anything, then certain animalistic behavior is start rising even in human
Yes.
attitudes, right? Behavior. We have seen number of examples in wars that happened in the first, second World War. What happened in Siberia, the coldest region of the planet, one of the coldest region of the planet. So when people didn't have food to eat, they become cannibalistic. They start eating the meat of humans.
Yeah.
So that's what that's what reveals the nature of the human, that when it comes to the life, as for the reason of its protection or preserving, then anything could be put at stake regardless of its value, right? Because life comes first than everything. So when we have this situation like flight and fight, we need to be very careful for few things, or about few things. Why? But because we are humans, we cannot be always thinking about self interest. That is one thing, right? Because fight and flight situation is maybe is a part of human life, but many times we have seen that humans very happily handle this thing, right? Because they have the power to utilize this, they have the power to tackle this. At the end of the day, what should be the thought process of a person as to either of the side is not going to be under loss, a heavy loss. It's not about losing our life or other life. It is about losing the humanity.
Yes.
That is what is very important point. That is what is the core of this. So when people have this very situation arising before them, whether fight or flight, so even if it your life is at risk, if your life is there to protect the life of thousands of people, then one must participate in this, means one must fight. It's not always to be thinking about one interest. That is what is always very important. I don't understand why people often talk about their interest. Since I'm talking like this, many people, people, or even those who will listen to this video will think that this man is talking very hyperbolic, that he is talking much in a way that he cares for everyone much, right? It's not like this. Even I'm like anyone else, but what I'm telling is what is fact, right? Even I'm not completely on this very point. So whenever we have this situation, we have to be very logically while dealing with that. If things is going against the multiple people, majority, then we have to be taking decision very cautiously. That's what is a very important point which I want to make here. Let's understand with one example. This very example is very important to even preserve the relationship. When a couple comes into conflict, verbal conflict, and when you ask them what is there that actually ruins the entire relationship, they will say that the company, both the partners, the couple, is not in come to terms with each other. And they keep, ignoring all those points, all those conditions, and all those rooms on which Just by doing a little conversation, they could make the entire relationship, almost revived.
Because the ego is coming in the way.
Ego is coming in the way. That's what I'm trying to say. Ego is coming in the way. But every time, whenever they have opportunities, they always take a flight. They always take a flight because they think if they communicate with the people, things might worse or might go worse. You understand this? So that is what the situation where we often face this kind of fight and flight situation. There are situations which require you know courage to fight, because always taking a flight may also mean to show your escapism attitude,
Yeah.
which might give you relief, but that is a very fleeting, for a fleeting time period. That is not permanent. Sometimes we have to fight for stronger reasons. This fight might be risky for you, but that also ensures the stability, a permanent stability for future. Many of the conflicts having between the relationship between the couples almost settle forever just by doing two or three conversation with the partner. That conversation is defined as a fight. That conversation is defined as a fight there because they took a step there which they were not taking earlier, and they
Yes.
took that step and they made the entire relationship revived again. So fight and flight situation is very common with the people. One has to be very careful while taking while taking a decision of it, right? If someone wants to take a flight, make sure that flight should not be termed as escape, or if it is there, then you are just derailing your problem. It seems that you have avoided the problem, you have overpowered the problem, but it is not. It will come again before you with multitudinous of you can say challenges. So this is what the nature of fight and flight and how we should deal in this way. That's what we have discussed. Over to you.
And if that couple, which you were talking about, for example, if that couple wants to lead a very happy life, I think they should be fighting the egos. They should be fighting all those problems which are separating them. And once they start thinking about having a conversation together, they sit down and they start working on the relationships. I think the faltering married life can be back on the track. So this is what the we are talking about. If these emotions are driven in the right way, if we can tame them, I think these emotions are going to make the life uh, heaven on the earth, right? So the other reason could be there, like psychological reasons can also be there, that generally what happens when a person has a traumatic life, I mean traumatic childhood, or they might have faced many difficulties in their lives, they might have faced many failures and defeats in their lives. As a result, they have become very very negative, and they think that they can never look at the positive side, they can never look at the sunny side of life. And this emotion, I mean this optimism which they had earlier, just because they have been facing those failures, so now it has become, it has turned into that pessimistic kind of nature. So now that positive emotion which they had earlier, when they would be very hopeful about their
Mhm.
life, but
Mhm.
as they kept facing those failures, they have now become negative. So this negative emotion is now in them, and this can be very destructive. So this is what we're going to talk about. I mean, psychological reasons can be there, that people are not able to
Yep.
understand the dragon within themselves. This dragon should be helping them moving forward and become successful in their lives. But now what is this dragon doing? It is trying to hold them back, and
Yeah.
it is holding them back from being successful, or you can say, or it is not letting them enjoy the life which is meant to be lived to the fullest. So we are now. So Robin, you'll be talking about the psychological problems, like how can people come out of this the psychology that is actually negative. They have become pessimistic. They are now they have embraced pessimism. Over to you.
See, uh, it is generally said that the magnanimous beauty of this universe, or let's say of this life, can only be beheld or seen by only those eyes who are impelled from within.
Yeah, it means there is
Right?
proverb in English language: the beauty lies in the eyes of beholder.
Yes, the beauty lies in the eyes of beholder. This is much similar to this.
Yeah.
So when you are internally impelled, then you can only see the literal meaning of this life. But the next question arises, how we can have this urge of internal force to arise from within. There should be at least some reason for its awakening from within. Otherwise, everyone or almost all people probably are not going to have this experience. Then you will come to know, as a response to this question, that those people who suffer from certain kind of issues in their life, which they call them challenges, some fatal challenges, some brutal challenges,
Yes.
these are challenges. Of course, these are challenges. At the same time, these challenges are almost nerve wracking challenges. It has the power to break the spine of a person. But at the same time, these are the challenges are there to make you full personality, that you can even feel the difference in you as you were not before.
Yes, I'm
So,
reminded of one quote which was either said by I have forgotten the name of that gentleman, that in adversity some people break themselves and some break the records.
yes, that's pretty nice. This is quite befitting to this situation, right? So, that's what I'm trying to say. So, it is all up to you. How do you want to treat your challenges? How do you want to take your traumas? Do you want these traumas to suppress you forever? That you won't even, you know, try to reawaken yourself? Or you want these suppression to be as a wielding force for you? With the help of it, you could really come out as someone takes a bounce back in their life. It has been seen in most of the cases. After you study all those philosophers, all those scientists, all those who have created some milestone in their life, have gone through some very difficult phase of their life. This is one common feature among all, because in when you live in certain comfortable zone, your mind cannot work to its full capacity. This mind is very dynamic. That's what we say, pragatisheel, right?
Yeah.
It has the power of adaptation. It has the power to use itself as a variable force. Whatsoever situation comes to you, you have your mind with inbuilt feature called neuroplasticity.
Yes.
Everything is in a well arranged form within you. You are a complete universe from within. Therefore, we say in a microcosm and macrocosm. So you have two options. Whether you want to understand the world, understanding the external objects, this is called macrocosm, or you just sit there and just focus everything that comes to you and go and peep in yourself and see this micro power that is called microcosm. You will also understand the universe through this. So our entire body is no less than an universe. We need to understand this. These traumas, these sufferings, these little bit suppressions, whatsoever it is, these are there as a staircase for you.
To strengthen us.
Obviously, that is there to lead you to to taste something which you deserve. So if you are suffering or if you are going through these challenges, or anyone goes through any challenges, they must be very happy first of all, because this is only the gateway to see the world, from a different perspective. which is not possible with many of the people who we have seen. Many people, and this is very generally understood, many people who come and take birth in some rich families, why often not, you know uh, I mean establish their name in such a way which they could easily do because they are overly privileged, they are with their abundant resources, that makes the competition for them very easy, right? But why don't these people do this kind of miracle in their lives? Why many time we see a boy or a girl from a very low background comes out and shines like a star? That is what, so we can say here the very rule is applied, because out of your dejection there comes a delight. So when you are under a certain kind of despondencies, and you have gone through certain crestfallen situation of your life, that you have worked hard a lot but still you didn't get something which you really deserve, then your internal strength comes out and participates into these competitions and gives you what you deserve for. So this very idea of chasing the dream, is all based on your overall ability, and this ability is more sharpened, trust me, by the challenges only. There is no power other than the challenges. Therefore, as many times when I meet with the people, I always say your challenges are your true friends. So
Yes,
don't curse them, tell them to be with you, because this is only the hope for you that will continue give you to elevation in your life, wherever you live, what you do. Because the time you stop having challenges, just you are there to be in a more intact position, means you are not going to be flourish anymore. So treat your challenges as your friends, because these challenges will give you, possibility to, you know actuate this brain. That's what we can,
yes.
I always refer this brain as a dragon. So this
Hmm.
dragon is always in a, in a, you can say, inaction state, right?
It has become inactive.
Obviously, when it isn't completely, or it's a latent force. Many
Yes.
people have the brain, you and me
Untapped.
all
It is
obviously.
untapped. It has not been, tapped into.
Yes. So when it will be actuated, and when it will be awakened from this innate condition, from this obviously, when it faces certain challenges, so utilize this challenges. Therefore, learn to harness your challenges, because challenges
Yes.
is there to give you some bigger in your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of one example which I was watching something, and then I came across that somebody gave this example that this brain and our emotions, our brain is just like a rubber band. Just by having a look at the rubber band, you cannot see its strength. But when it you stretch it, then you the more you stretch it, the more you can say the more you stretch it, and you will find that when you release it, there's snap or break. It
Yeah.
shows how strong this rubber band is. And in the similar fashion, we are being stretched by these challenges, and then you will get to know how what are you made of, how powerful you are. Without having been having been through these challenges, you can never come to know about your your inner power. You must be remembering one incident from the life of Tulsidas. So he was not at all going to realize his own potential when because he was so much fond of his wife. I must have shared this story with you. So what happened one day? His wife went to her mother's home, and when he came back from his work and he found that his wife was not there at home, then he got mad, and then he started looking for her. And then somebody told him that she has gone to her mama's house. Then it was night, actually it was dark night, and it was pitch dark, and it was raining very heavily, and but he didn't care about it. He just the village of that his wife was across that river, I think. So what he decided that he should be going and meeting his wife, and then he started crossing that river. And there was no boat actually. So what he did, he thought that it was night, he couldn't see whether it was a piece of log or something. He put his step on that log. He thought that it was a log, but actually it was a dead body. He just stepped on that dead body, and somehow he swam across that river, and then he reached his wife's home. And
Oh,
then because it was night, so the doors was closed. And so he thought that how would he get in. Then he found that there was actually a snake. It was just hanging, I think, from something, and then it was suspended. Actually, it was suspending there. So he thought that his wife is no she is helping him up. So she was actually she had that piece of rope, right? So he just grabbed that snake and went up, and he opened the window and and got in. Then his wife was quite startled. She thought that how was he in. And then she asked that how come you're here, because you were supposed to be at home. I came here because I had to meet my mother. Then then he said that it was you who were actually dropping that rope to help me up. Then she said that you are so mad about me. Why don't you devote yourself to the Almighty so that you can achieve the salvation? And those words of that lady, of his wife, moved him so much that he then he went in search of his own discovery. Then the rest is history. So this is when challenges and when things move you, when things give you some kind of challenge, then you realize how capable you are, how powerful
right.
you are, and what you are made of, right? So we should be taking these challenges, although only the one who goes through these challenges realize how difficult they are. But they are the one who which always let you know your true potential, your true self. And sometimes you even go past your own imagination,
Mhm.
because until or unless you test your strength, you would never come to know about it. For example, if
Right.
you go to the gym, then you start lifting some weight, and this is when you would realize how much you can lift, how much weight you can lift. Otherwise, just by having a look at the dumbbells or whatever is there, you can
All
never
the
see whether
equipment.
you are able to lift that or not. So challenges are there to shape you. Challenges are there to let you know who you really are, and challenges are there to help you progress in your life. This is what we felt. It is not that we are just talking, we are just building castles in the air. It is not
Mhm.
that we are just talking something bookish. This is something which we have felt ourselves. You
Right.
would not. When I was in my 12th, and then I passed my 12th, and then I was always expecting people to help me, because I had those big dreams in my life. I never thought that I would do this and that. I always wanted to be either the billionaire or millionaire, right? This is what everyone does, right? We, for ourselves, we always have we think that we are going to be the richest person in the world. We are
Right.
going to be the famous personality in this world. We never think that we would do something small or something like that. So I had the same kind of thought in my mind. But when I found that just by thinking, just by expecting, nothing is going to happen, I found that I was broken. And then I realized that I was slipping into depression. But then again, I also looked at the other side. I said to myself, if I keep myself in this situation, I think I'm not gonna have anything in my life. So the
Right.
solution is to rise above yourself, rise above a challenge. And this is something which really helped me a lot. If I
Mhm.
accepted that situation, I would have been somewhere else, right?
Right.
I wouldn't have done whatever I could do, because I had faith in my God. I had faith in my beliefs. I had faith in myself, and I knew that if I put my mind to something, then God is there for me, and He would certainly help me. So we should be challenge. We should not be challenge taking the challenges as something which can shatter us, shatter our confidence. This is something, if taken positively, again
Correct.
the same thing comes. You have to look at the other side. If you keep looking at one side, you will see only one picture, the same picture which you have created for yourself, the negative picture. But if
Right.
you take your attention off and you start looking the things at different from different perspective, from different angle, I think the whole picture will change, right?
Sure.
Now what we're going to talk about, we are also going to talk about the cultural impacts on people. We know the society has its own, way of reacting, and they will always be saying something to you no matter what you do. It is said that moon is known for its beauty, right? But people say that it has got some spots in it, right? So people will always have something negative to say. So if you keep listening to people, I think you will break yourself. You will shatter your confidence, because they will always be having something negative to say. So this is what we're going to talk about. Tell me how societal pressure shape this inner beast, because this is a beast. All those negative emotions are there as a beast, and we have to turn them to be our, you can say, to be our savior. They'll save us actually. So tell me how these societal and cultural pressure going to shape us, or they are going to shatter us.
Okay. So I'll begin with this one thing, which is known as mindset. So when you live in a society and when you are surrounded by multiple minds, and all these minds have their different perspective towards their life, it's very natural that many of them might go against you, against your way of seeing the world, seeing the life, and that is very natural. Then sometimes I ask this question to myself, something which is very natural, then there is nothing like to be upset about it. There is nothing like to be disappointed about it. And that what the life is all about, especially when we understand it, associating it with society. And society is nothing but a conglomeration of cultural practices, traditions, customary practices that over the period of times are the part of the society, right? Every society is made up of certain specific, mindsets, or people with similar mindsets. That's what you can say. When you go against, so for example, in a society there are 100 people and one seems to be anomaly
Yeah.
among 100, then this one is going to be the one who will face a lot of challenges. What are those challenges? That whenever he goes against any norm being set up by those 99, he is going to face a problem on this. He will face criticism, he will be reprimanded, sometimes he could be even chided by this 99 people. Now it's up to that person how he's gonna take it. And that is what the play of mindset comes in the role. That's what I was trying to say. So everything is in our hand. That's what I believe in. When you see yourself as a separate entity, different from all, then you realize one thing, that your life belongs to you only. And since this is your life, one more fact is associated with it is that everything that is in you is you. So when you go upset, hurt on any moment, such as someone had said something to you which you were not expecting, and thereafter you went almost bleak because you were not expecting this from someone to say like this. But the next thing which must be coming to the mind of the people, those who are getting upset on those silly and frivolous events, is that are we so weak that we are giving the control of our mind to someone's hand?
Yes.
Or are we not enough to see the enormity of this life? which means that this life is complete within it.
Yes.
Even when you are criticized for any of the reasons by anyone, then it means you have accepted your fault. Since even the Bhagavad Gita says one thing which I find quite relevant and which must be, produced before all people, all students, that this human life is takes birth with four important defects. Even the birth of the life, birth of the person, human being, is innate with four different defects. That the person is likely to lie to other, he is going to be deceitful, he is going to be treacherous. So these are the defects of the human, and one must accept these. One is there to commit, mistake. Committing mistake is a part of our life. So if someone criticizes us on our mistake, there is nothing like to be disappointed about it. You can take it as a reason for your personal, grooming, or you can take it for some other reasons, as many people do. So always you have a choice whether you want to groom yourself, you want to uh, uh, elevate your position
Yes.
in terms of finance, in terms of social, in terms of economic, in terms of political. So whatsoever it is, if you really want to elevate your stature, you need to learn to accept your faults. So when someone comes out and criticize you for honest reasons, you should be even grateful to those people. Trust me that you are being criticized for it. Enemies are those, according to me, who actually keep praising you even at your mistakes, which means he never wants you to be, mending your ways. Ultimately want to see you to, you know to face that fatal in your life, right? So every time I always feel that society is always there to criticize you on your good deed as well as bad deed. What we have to do in this case, we have to take our life, understand our life separately. We are different, we are the part and parcel of this universe, as I said it earlier. We are all one, right? But at the same time, you should be taking your life as one individual life, and that belongs to you. It should not be under pressure for any of the reason, because the time it goes under pressure for those frivolous reasons, it only compromises with your productivity. And trust me, when it goes and compromises with your productivity, everything goes decline to the point that is called nadir, where there is no scope left to
Yes.
come and rise again. So we have to be very careful and circumspect in this. If anyone says anything to you, let the person say. Take it as a challenge. Why don't we take it as a challenge? I remember one of the incident being shared by the greatest master player of cricket, Sachin Tendulkar, and he himself narrated this event. Recently, I got to know about him and how interesting it was, and too many of the things a person can understand from this one, the story of this master blaster, Sachin Tendulkar. What he says is that when he was playing a test against Australia in Australia, right? So he was there batting. We all know that the nature of those Australians, they
Yeah.
use
Sledge.
slang languages
Yeah, they
and
sledges a lot.
slangs. So they use it as an instrument, because when you play any sport, these are the part of the sports.
They instigate you,
This
they provoke you
obviously they provoke you. Why do they provoke you? Because they
to make a
want
mistake.
you to, obviously. Now it is up to you how strong you are on your senses, that you're not going to take their, instigations personally, and maintain your composure high. This man literally proved it. So the challenges that was put against him by a bowler, that you
And,
have to
and
play a
this particular you can say quality separates him from Dravid and Sachin. I mean, and
Dravid.
Virat is quite aggressive,
Yeah,
and this aggression sometimes causes him to make mistake, to play some
yeah, yeah.
wrong shots. But look, I mean, just you must be knowing Rahul Dravid. He was so calm, cool, calm and collected that he would
Yeah.
never, you can say he would never be tempted into. playing a wrong shot because he knew that they were just doing this for this reason. They just wanted him to be out.
Right. So these are the stories, are really full of these are the story enriched with experiences. Humans are not different from experiences. Your experience might be different, but many of the experiences are similar.
Yeah.
So not every time we have to learn from the experiences. Gone are the days where we had this thought process. You will learn from your experiences. The life is very short. Why can't we learn from other experiences?
Yes.
So someone has done some. Why do we read books? We are actually reading the experiences of some famous people, right?
Yes. Yes.
Why we are reading it? Just because of if we find ourselves in the same situation, at least we are not going to commit the same mistake that has been committed by that writer.
And one more
Therefore,
thing, they show you that what they did that worked, and you can try it out. If that
yeah,
fails, you can have your own way.
yeah, absolutely. So, societal pressure, cultural pressure are pressure only for those who actually hold no force on their brain senses, and they don't really have much control on their own personal, lifestyle. But people who have literally a good, wielding force on them are absolutely undisturbed, untouched. They are unflappable by any of those societal pressure whatsoever it is. They remain composed for 24 hours and their productivities are not compromised at all. Even you find their your productivity goes up and up every single moment. So everything is, I mean, is almost, I mean, to you to decide how you're gonna treat yourself with
Yeah,
you.
there is one proverb in English language that is first deserve then desire. If you
Mm.
think that you can become a successful person, if you think that you can become the richest person, if you think that you can become the person who everybody loves, then you have to prove it. I mean, you cannot be getting carried away with the what people say, because people will always say something. You
Right.
know that what I like, you may not like, and what you don't like, you'll be finding fault in me for the same reason, for the same thing, because you don't like that thing, and you may be disliking me for liking that particular thing. So this is not, you cannot have that you cannot just live in that utopian world, because that is not going to happen. Everybody is not going to be in a favor all the time, and you won't find a situation in life where everybody is on the same page, you are on the same page with each and everybody. This is going to be impossible. Next thing which we are going to talk about is, tell me, now we are going to talk about the process of taming this inner dragon, because we know that it is going to interfere with our with our goals. It is going to interfere with our goals of different kinds, like spiritual goals, professional goals, personal goals. We will keep losing if we fail to tame this inner dragon. So now we are going to talk about the strategies, we are going to talk about the process which can help us tame this inner dragon, because this is very powerful. And if it remains untamed, I think this can
Mm.
destroy us, and this will
Yeah.
kill us in installments. Right. So
Okay.
now let's talk about these processes, the process of taming the inner dragon. So, what would you suggest people to help them tame this inner dragon, which can help them become successful, become the master of their emotions? Because we have to master this art of taming this inner dragon.
Okay. So, since we have successfully identified these this dragon with our emotions, then one thing we can for sure learn, which is how we can uh, handle and how we can control our emotions. This is what we have to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we have to control our emotions at the end of the day. Because these emotions are more like racing horses.
Yes.
If it goes, against your will, and you don't even harness them, you don't have the wielding force to rein them, then obviously it will drive you even where do you don't want to be driven,
Yeah.
right? So we have to control this senses. So this is I mean, this is a particular kind of a step that one must note it down, because we need to simplify things, because this is something which is very common. Many people face certain problems like this. So since we have understood this is the emotion, we have to control it. Now we can try to find out possible ways out how we can control our emotions. Now, since we have made many videos earlier, for example, we have covered about minimalism recently.
Yes.
Minimalism may be seen as a different, you know, uh, uh, you can say subject reaching to different object. But minimalism can be applied here in this case too. Why? Because minimalism teaches you to live a moderate life.
Yes.
When we say moderate life, I don't say that there is a compromise to be made by you on your skills. Not at all. There is a compromise that is to be made on your desire, because it's your desire that makes things out of your control. I mean, ask yourself, when do we get more angry? We get angry when something goes against our will. For example, if I am expecting something to happen with me, since I've worked hard a lot, and one day I come to know that I have miserably failed in that, then it's out of my despondency. I'm going to be anger, isn't it? Assume in the same situation, if I had worked harder without associating myself to the possible consequences of it, which I say and call with its true name called fruit, then would I have the same situation to face? Would my mind to be in that despondency state? No, because I did my work without attaching myself to the consequences, to the fruit of that action.
Yes.
So the answer that comes here as a solution is that fruitless work. Can we can we exercise a certain kind of lifestyle where we are thoroughly working with full determination, but at the same time we are not dealing with this very, the result of it. We are not looking for the fruit. If fruit comes to us as a part of it, accept it as a gift to us, but it doesn't belong to us, because nothing on this planet can be held as as something which is possessed by us, because we came here empty handed and we will go from here empty handed.
Empty
This is
handed.
what
Yeah.
is this is what the fact is all about, right? There is nothing like a spirituality in that. Many people might take entire this part of the session is that it's going to be unrealistic, but trust me, it's not unrealistic. This is a proprietorship, a kind of feeling that makes people and human more egoistic than anything else in the world. I mean, you can go through number of examples in your life. When I say I can do this pretty thing, and I'm very happy, and I'm starting taking pride in that. But at the same time, when I find even you can do the same thing, the value of that my task, in my opinion, in my eyes, goes down. This is
Yes.
this is what is the psychology of the people. That is called doctrine of exclusivity. Doctrine of exclusivity means something which is shared by all always supposed to be having less value. And if something is only enjoyed by a limited number of people, which always holds much value in it. This is what is the mindset of the people, what we can say. So first thing is that minimalism can be there as a significant instrument and a remedy that could really help us to tackle our emotions, because it checks your your entire emotion process. Mindfulness is
Yes.
something kind of unparalleled panacea
Yes.
for controlling. Mindfulness is all about our personal understanding. You are being familiar with yourself is the most important and the most powerful phenomenon that takes place in your life, right? So recently I got one incident in my life. I mean, I have one of my friend Abhishek Pandey, and he came from New Delhi a few days back, and he was running. So I usually go to running in the evening hours. So I found him. He was running, and I was surprised. So we met, and then he had a certain objective to achieve a fitness goal. That's what is very popular these days, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he was running, and he was having his iPods, and he said, "I'm listening to songs, and I'll continue running." Then he completed 10 to 12 rounds, around 6 to 7 kilometers. And then we had a chit chat together. Then I told him, why do you carry on this iPod with you when while you're running? Don't you think you are compromising on few things? Then he says first, he said first that if I don't use these, earpods, I will not be able to run to that, length, because then my mind will be distracted. So he accepted that there is a need, you know, something for him on which he could be concentrated upon. But then I told him, don't you think, and in fact, it's pretty practical, that when we do a certain activity and we do it, but by dissociating our mind from it, what kind of activity we are doing. And that is what is mindfulness is all about. So it deals with a situation, it deals with a particular phase or particular event of a life of a human, where a human performs any activity. He not only performs it, but he takes his mind on that particular situation through. And then in this condition, he actually practices this mindfulness. So it is said that when you perform any activity with your mind on that, is called mindfulness, because you are not just doing it, you are consciously doing it with your applying with the application of your mind. It gives you immense opportunities to know yourself. It helps you to go deeper down within you, to see what is all those tiny and subtle changes happening within you while you are running, while doing certain activities, surging of emotions, and it is declining at the same time. All these we can observe only through, mindfulness.
Mindfulness, yes.
So
And
this mindfulness and these things could be very meditation is one of those examples too.
yes.
Yes.
So mindfulness, awareness, and what you talked about this this meditation, these all things always let you know that what triggers in you those emotions, and then
Right.
you understand what emotions you are feeling, and then you can check them, you can hold them in check. Because if you're not aware, then you cannot realize, you can say you cannot understand those emotions, and those emotions can be very overwhelming, and then you would find it difficult to handle them. So meditation is really very much important, and awareness, you have to be aware, and mindfulness, as you told. For example, suppose I'm having my food and sitting in front of the TV, and my mind is not there at whatever I'm eating. Rather, I'm paying whole my attention to TV. I don't think that I would ever realize the taste of the food, because my mind is somewhere else. And if
Right.
you want to realize something, you want to taste something, then you should be focusing on your task at hand.
Right.
This is what Lord Buddha said, that if you don't focus on whatever you are doing, you cannot realize its beauty. When
Right.
you are bathing, you should be focusing on bathing. When you are running, you should be focusing on running. When you are studying, you should be focusing on study. Then that's when you can realize the importance and the beauty of that particular thing you're
Hmm.
doing. And then you would realize that it's not a challenge. It's really it's really fun, and you can enjoy. Then you would never complain, right? And one more thing, that you have to turn your anger, whatever the emotions, you have to turn them to something positive. Like you can turn your anger into your passion, right? You can turn your your fear into courage, and you can also turn your ego into your confidence. So if you work on these emotions like this, I think you will
Right.
be able to get benefited from your negative emotions called the inner dragon, and it would then be they will emerge into your powerful weapon, and which can really help you become a nice person, and you would really love to do things and very perfectly fine, perfectly. So this
Right.
is something which was needed, right? So the last point which we're going to talk about is, tell me, what else apart from this, how else people can be benefited from this, because this is the final question, and then we'll be wrapping it up. I think people might have understood what we are talking about, and how they can, and people know everything, whatever we are talking about, people know, but only knowing is not is necessary, is not important. You should be putting everything into practice. This is what we see, that people read books, but how many people are putting those principles taught in the
Right.
book into practice. Because until or unless we practice those things, I think we can never see changes in our life. We can never see those transformation, right? That transformation which we are expecting. And no matter people go to listen to, they go to listen to Bhagavad Gita, they even watch some mythological programs, and they see that nothing is working for them. So the reason is simple: they're not practicing anything. Only be sitting there is not going to change your life. You have to embrace those teachings, those learnings from those you can say epics, from those books, right? So this is something which people should be paying attention to. So tell me, what is the relevance of whatever we talked about in modern life or modern day?
Um, I'll say one thing in this that see, we are surrounded by many evil forces. There is no doubt about it. Therefore, the need for reawakening is even more, you can say urgent, right? And therefore, we need to be relying upon certain, relevant, you can say practice, which could really, promise us to be, you know, freeing us from all those kind of, fears, depressions, and anxieties, which are the commonly, experienced by the people, right? One thing which I want to say in this, which could be really helpful, and many people have realized the importance of it. When we talk about emotions, emotions have their physical manifestation. So, for example, if I have an emotion which is out of dejection, of failure, then its physical manifestation would be I would be either crying, I would be even sitting, you know, in a with an upset mood. So that will be the physical manifestation. So we can say the emotions always has an impact on your physiology. No one can deny this fact. In the same or similarly, when you are happy, you will show this happiness through laughing, through cheering up yourself. So this is the physical manifestation of each and of your emotion, right? So every emotion there is going to be reflected through your physiological activity, right? But at the same time, we need to recognize and accept this fact that these emotions are nothing but a product of your thought process. So therefore, it is said that if anyhow we try to, uh, you know, understand this very phenomenon that is called that we are different from our thoughts, then to a larger extent, emotions could be well controlled. The problem comes when you start taking each of your thought as you whole, and then you start becoming so upset and disappointed, right? So my only suggestion to the people here is that try to practice to take yourself as a separate entity from your thought process. You and your thought are two different things. And if you successfully establish this relationship as two different things, your thoughts, whatsoever it is, may be guided by some, mindset of, positive mindsets or negative mindset, whatsoever it is not going to be adversely impactful on your physiology, and that is what is our major concern, right? So whatsoever emotions we have, it should not be the guiding force of our physiology, because physiology is something which we have to protect. That is what is called survival instinct. We have to protect our body as much as we could do. If we if we able to protect this body, many new things we could experience. Once the body is off, then everything is off. That is what the reality is, and therefore what a famous, western philosopher called Immanuel Kant has described in one of his a philosophy called the pure reasoning, the pure reasoning, in which he discusses about phenomenon and nomenon. So I'll deal with this in some other part of the videos. But what I'm trying to say you that try to separate your thought process with you as a whole personality. Then you will be able to control your emotions and everything. You will be always in a neutral state of mind. Neutral state of mind. Over to you.
And with this, I would like to say this to the audience that if they want to become the best version of themselves, they should start practicing whatever we've discussed in this video, because this is how they can see the transformation in their lives, and their life is really going to be quite beautiful. So with this, I'm taking a leave. We will see each other in the next video. Till then, take care.
Good night. Bye bye.